Hey everybody, welcome back to Monster Mod Customs. So today's going to be a little different because we're not going to be working on any of the vehicles here. I've got a few issues going right now, and you might have seen it in some of the prior videos. Honestly, I don't know if it's going to have popped up yet because I'm literally editing down probably like 18 hours of footage of working on the Sidewinder project, which includes a lot of cutting and fabricating and things like that. And that's all done on this little like cart that I've got. It's just kind of makeshift. It beats having two sawhorses out there, which is what I did before. But it's not doing it for me. It's becoming more of a hassle than it's worth. I'm at a premium on space in here, so I need to come up with a better way. And big news, I have a pipe tube bender coming in. So I bit the bullet. I finally got a good amount saved up that I felt comfortable just dropping $1,800. And I got a Rogue Fab bender with air over hydraulic ram and a few extra little goodies. So I'm going to be, building a new welding cart / work table. So the big deal I'm having right now is that my work table is just an old radiator on top of a file cart. And I'll show you here in a second why this is not great. And then the other issue I run into is that my welding cart that I originally bought from a local place here, it's probably a great welding cart, but it's just not meant for the constant movement back and forth that I've been doing. And it's starting to fold in half. So here, let me show you what I'm talking about. So here's the work table that I'm using. You can see it is literally a file cart. Like, this is what you would have with the little hanging files that go in drawers. It literally just goes right there. I got it for free. It was nice, easy, and I originally used it as a parts cart and tool cart, where I'd just roll it out to the vehicle I was working on with the tools I needed, throw the parts in the bottom, throw the tools in the top, and then I'd have everything I need. I can just take it back in and put it back. But it's not, honestly, having these two separate things is more difficult. And I need something that's more solid than this, because this is just kind of a mess. That radiator moves around. Honestly, I will say the radiator is great for using as a work table, because one, it's a pretty much dull, dead radiator. Sorry, there's a mosquito. But because of all these cooling fins and the way it's brass and copper and things like that, it's really easy to cut on and drill on, and it sticks, it doesn't get hot, it cools things down really quickly. So honestly, for a makeshift work table, that radiator worked wonders for a long time. And here's the other problem. So you can see down there that this whole thing's folding in half, because this tank is just too heavy for this cart. I mean, honestly, if it just held out and it didn't bend, it'd probably be fine, but after it bends once, it's done. That metal is going to be weak there all the time. Here's the other side. So it's starting to fold itself in half, and I really don't want that. Same thing up here. It's starting to kind of bend where this handle would move up and down. You can see it kind of bending back. So I'm going to make something stronger. And I'm going to combine these two things. So the idea is, I have a work table kind of like this, about this size, maybe a little bit wider. This is about 14 inches wide. I'm going to go with probably 2 foot wide, and that gives me tons of work area, 3 foot of space right here on the work table, and then I'll have an extra foot where the bottle will come in through the handle, the handhold, and I will just put the welder underneath on a shelf. I'm going to use the pieces of metal that I got right here. So I'm going to use this top shelf right here that the welder is already on. I'm going to use probably the bottom shelf. I'm probably going to use the hangers. I'm going to use whatever parts I can scrape off of this thing that are still good for the work table cart that I'm going to build. So I'm going to be throwing that on there. I'll have that sitting down below. I'll make space so that I can have another piece of equipment, either a plasma torch or a TIG or something like that, under there as well. And I don't know, sky's the limit. I want it to have a rollout drawer at some point. I do have a lot of extra toolboxes. You can see one right there. I've got two in the back of my vehicle. So I could use one of those. Maybe I'll mount one of those up underneath there, so I've got, you know, accessible basic storage. You can see I have a lot of tools just kind of sitting on top of here because I use them constantly. I'm switching between them. So maybe it'd be nice to have like the fabrication tools in a drawer on here. But I'd like it to be multifaceted, and eventually I'd like the top to be one of the biggest issues I have with the radiator work table is that clamping things is difficult. Trying to get it on the edge, trying to get it over where I need it to be is a pain. And what I want to do with this work table is I want to just use like 1/2 inch by 1/2 inch or 3/4 by 3/4 inch steel tube that just runs across, and I'll space them out so that I can fit a clamp in between them. So if I need to get a better grip on something, I can just move it in 1 or 2 and then clamp it down. And if I damage them, they're just bolted in or screwed in, so I could just unscrew them and replace it with a whole other piece. Unfortunately, I saw all those parts at the hardware store yesterday, and then I went there today to grab them, and somebody bought the square tubes. Honestly, I didn't know anybody else bought metal from my hardware store other than me, so surprise, surprise. But that's the plan for today. I'm just going to be trying to build these. And the other thing is that because I have a tube bender, I'm going to be building a cart for that as well. If you've never seen them before, you've never heard of them, the Rogue Fab benders are, what, like 120 pounds for just the bender, and then if you include the air over hydraulic ram, it's 156 pounds or something like that. So 150 pounds is pretty heavy for a cart. I want to build something small and stout that I can just maneuver around and cart everywhere, has casters on it so that I can, you know, make it mobile and not have it as a permanent facet somewhere in here and I'm trying to carry it, move it around. So I liked this option better than buying the option from Rogue Fab themselves, which, I mean, albeit is probably a very nice cart, but at $550, $600, I'm not in it for that. I've got metal. I can definitely make something that can hold 150 pounds and be able to maneuver just fine for probably half that price, if not less. So we'll see. And that's what we're going to be doing today. So. there it is. So, you got to see a little bit of the building process, but this is kind of what I had in mind. It's very dusty because I just did some metal grinding. But bottle behind the handles, it holds itself in there. Very, very sturdy. Rests down on where the wheels are rather than at a point where it could potentially bend. It's mostly made out of angle iron and just little steel and stuff like that. It's not crazy. It's nothing like extremely expensive or anything like that. Just angle iron, and these are the trays from the actual welding cart that I just took apart and tossed on here. They're thick metal, so it works. That's a tray down there. This is a piece from it. That's a piece from it. So I basically used a ton of stuff from the welding cart. Now all I need to do is get something to go up top here, and then it's done. But I've also got this that I started, which is the cart for the tube bender, which should be showing up today. This is just the base frame. Apparently the footprint of it is 30 inches by 1 foot. And this is 36 inches by 1 foot. So I'll be able to just have the legs, here I'll show you. These are the legs for it. Have the legs just kind of angled out like this. That way I can get a wider footprint on it, keep it from tilting and falling over, and it'll just have a single shelf on the bottom and some casters, and that's it. That's all I got for this one. So this should be easy. I should be done with this in almost no time. It's not going to take much. And then I'll be prepared for when the cart comes. So I'm going to use the old fab cart metal. It's on here, like these side panels. That's some pretty good metal right there. And the base panel bits are the same thickness, so I could just take this and throw it on the cart out there. I might use this for a temporary top to my welding cart. I really want to do just thin square tube across the top of it. That way I can clamp to anything and I can have a have it replaceable. But I also don't. It's cheaper to do it this way. Just buying the metal. It'd probably be cheaper if I had an actual metal supplier rather than my local hardware store. But overall, for both of these carts, it probably cost me $250 in metal. So not too bad, but that's still a good bit of money. And I used some metal that I just had kind of laying around. I had some extra stuff, so I had some extra angle iron. I used the extra metal from the carts. The round tube for the handle I had as extra. So, basic stuff. Anyway, now I'm going to start rolling on this and get that done. Okay, we're back again. It's been a minute since I've done it, but I figured I'd finish this out with showing you exactly what I built here. I'm moving all this crap out of the way. I got so much going on in this garage. I really kind of got to clean it to get my space back. But when you're dealing with 3 projects, this is just what happens. So, it's going to be hard to see, but this is the finished product on the welding cart. So rather than doing the square tube that I wanted to do up top, which was really expensive actually, this tube actually costs quite a bit. They're like 30 bucks a pop, and I could never find the right lengths for the ones I wanted for the top, so I ended up just doing a solid metal top. It was cheaper, easier. It's just, as you can see, screwed in with quick zips. Self-tappers, so that's fine. Just coated it with WD-40, scrubbed it, wiped it down, and now it's good. It's still got a little bit coming through. I gotta do another coat on it, but it will work pretty well, and it has worked pretty well so far. So I showed you it with just the framing of it before, but yeah, like I said, everything got used from the old cart, including these the bottle holders. I just welded them together right there. Got this chained in here. This is real nice and sturdy now. Haven't had any trouble with it so far. I've used it quite a few times. The only thing I did change on it was that after I had this made, I didn't really account for the casters. So this was another, like, I don't know, 6 inches up higher. So it was up here. And that just wasn't comfortable as a work table, so I actually cut these down, took that 6 inches out, and then re-welded them. It wasn't that hard because it was already measured out and everything like that. So that's the welding table, and the work table, that works. And here is the cart for the tube bender. So I haven't put a shelf on the bottom of this yet, just because I gotta buy the steel for it. I might not. I don't know. There's not really much use in having the shelf on this because I don't have any of the extra gadgets and things that go with this bender. But here is the Rogue Fab bender. It took maybe a day to put it together, split between a couple days. And this was all just put together slowly because you don't want to overheat the metal when you're trying to weld it. The last thing I want is for this thing to warp in some weird way and cause an issue. So I took my time welding it together, and then it took some time to do the paint and to dry it. It was a pain to put the wheel and everything on this thing. It was real hard to get this die in here because you're having to hold this there and this piece here and trying to keep the spacers in, which I actually have to remove some of them because these are too many spacers apparently. But getting this die in here was a real pain because you're trying to hold this, you're trying to slide this pin in, you're trying to get all this stuff situated. And I mean, this is 1/4 inch. These are not light pieces. But overall, as a package that you just weld together, I mean, they were thorough. They put everything in there. There's a lot of thought into its structure, and there's a lot of weld strength that comes through it. Like I mean, of course they know what they're doing. They make these things. But this thing's really cool. Haven't gotten a chance to use it yet. Yeah, see, there's some of the flex and give on it, but I mean, it's just on a pin, so it makes sense that it's going to have some flex in there. But I'm really excited to actually use this thing. All stickers and everything that came with it. Really, really thorough instructions on how to weld this together and put it together. Was very cool. And that is the cart for it. The wheels right there are from the old file cart that you saw. It turns out that the tube, the square tube right here, is the exact size for the round tube that these were mounted to just slide into. So they're just slid in there. And it works. I got to find a way to stabilize them because they have a tendency to... it's going to be hard to show, but they do that. And then I got casters, just like would be on the original cart that Rogue Fab provides. And it's just an easy way to move it around. And that is pretty much it for the building of these things. It'll have a little bit, but obviously it's going to be edited down. The toolbox is slid off. You can see right there. I got to get something more stable for the toolbox to sit right there. It keeps on falling between the rails. It's almost perfect as far as sizing, but it's not quite. So I got to do something about that, or maybe I'll tack it to it, or maybe screw it to it. I don't know. I'll find a way to make that stay where it's supposed to stay. But there you go. Those are the 2 carts I built, and that frees up some space because now I've got this extra piece of equipment right here. And it's mobile, easy to get around, and I got this, that's my welding and work cart, all tied into one sturdy, solid package that's just not going to fold in half like the old one. All right. That's pretty much it for this one. This is just, you know, the quick fab thing. So, thanks for watching the video, and I'll see you in another one.